Welcome in to Moving the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside John Epps. We're here for our Week 0 preview show, John. I know the season obviously just getting underway right now, but man, we have some big matchups in store here for Week 0.
Yeah, we talk about early in the season, non-region play. You got a lot of smaller schools playing some bigger schools, and we see a lot of blowouts, right, early in the year when you got a 2A school playing a 4A or 5A school. But there's a lot of games here Friday night where, it might be 3A, 5A, or 3A, 4A, 4A, 5A. Boy, they're going to be some really, really good games, though. Some really good teams playing some really good teams where I think it's going to be pretty competitive, regardless of the classification difference.
But no doubt about it. This you guys first time tuning in. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, etc. at Movin Chains, MOVINCHAINS.com. Our website, movinchains.com. We got our message board over there. Lots of great videos. We're doing some cool stuff now on Instagram and Twitter as well. So check us out on all platforms. Like, share, subscribe, follow, all that jazz. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Let's get right into it, John. Our games of the week brought to you by Kona, our friends over there. The first one, a 5A, 4A matchup, a really fun game here. And that's South Pointe traveling to Spartanburg. South Pointe, a team that year 2 under Bobby Collins. I'd say year 1 they had some good success. They made a couple wins in the playoffs there, but they didn't go to maybe the lengths they usually like to go to for the Stallions there. You could say it's kind of a down year and they won a couple playoff games. Honestly, but they've got some studs come back. Malachi Marshall's a really good quarterback there. I love that kid there. Wide receiver Xavier Preston, DB Zantoine Nelson had 7 picks last year. The Currents kid also back there. That's a team that I think is going to be pretty good. How will they do against Spartanburg, John? We shall see.
Yeah, this was really, you talk about last year with South Pointe, Spartanburg. These were two programs that kind of went opposite directions. South Pointe, man, they made a splash. Game 1 last year, they knocked off Gaffney. Big deal. Spartanburg, had to get their wheels under them a little bit. They had a really tough schedule to start out last year. But Spartanburg, this Vikings program, they got beat by Dutch Fork in the playoffs, but going into that game, they were on a 4-game winning streak to end the year and then rolling into the playoffs. Spartanburg really started to figure things out at the end of the year. It's exciting to see, okay, South Pointe, can they flip the script a little bit and get back to being one of the – they were still one of the best teams in the state last year in 4A, but they lost a little bit of that shine, I feel like. That South Lawrence game really put them in a spot. The Bruins – really cemented their place last year in that big blowout last year. I heard that South Pointe team, I think, a little bit. Can South Pointe flip the script a little bit, start new, start fresh? They're talented. They're going to be good. And then can Spartanburg continue that momentum into this year? And I like Spartanburg to be able to carry the momentum. Nothing against South Pointe here, but Spartanburg, I think they're going to be a team in 5A, not just this week. I think they're going to be a team in 5A in that really tough region. They're going to be really, really difficult for everybody week in, week out.
Yeah, Spartanburg, quarterback TJ Johnson, really a good dual threat guy there for Coach Hodge. We've got wide receiver Justin Rice as a playmaker, a flex guy, and Calvin Choice, who's a stud as well. They got really good depth on defense, especially the secondary and the D-line. Secondary led by Quentin Hayward. A guy I really like is linebacker Cam Smith. He's a stud back there. John talked about on the preview show last week, a lot of names that we maybe don't know yet for Spartanburg because they had to replace guys like Kelly and Jeter and Dan and whatnot. But Coach Hodge is really high on this team. And he's a guy who's been there. He's won football games. He's won state titles, had a lot of good success. If he's high on a team, I'm high on a team. South Pointe, like you mentioned, really took it to Gaffney in week 0 last year, but that was in Rock Hill. This game's in Spartanburg. I think Spartanburg has something to prove. People may be writing them off a little bit this year after losing Jeter, Mr. Football finalist to East Carolina there. I think Spartanburg wins a close one. This could be a really fun game with athletes all over the field.
Yeah, it's going to be a really, really fun game to watch. And this is another one of those games I said just a minute ago. You got 45A. You got two really good programs. Two teams that have really high expectations, self-imposed, as they should be, high expectations for each program. This can be a really good game. This could be a really close game too. And I wouldn't be surprised if it goes either way.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I'm leaning Spartanburg in a close one there at home, but will be a great matchup. And you love to see teams schedule these games. We talk about it every year where the region games don't matter. So why not play some big boys? And you love seeing this here. But, John, let's look down at the coast now for our second Kona game of the week. And that's Camden traveling to Myrtle Beach. Last year, Camden won this game 42-13 at home. Really a surprise there, I felt like. But Camden quarterback, they've got a name you know, Grayson White. He's been a starter, I think, for 4 years now. They've got Avery Hickman back at running back, ran for 1,000-plus yards. Ja May ran 1,000-plus yards receiving last year. Everybody who scored a touchdown is back for Camden this year. But they do have to replace a lot on the defensive line. You know, Xavier McLeod's now at South Carolina. Shameik Jones now at Georgia Tech. A lot of guys to replace there. The Purvis kid at DB is a stud. He's a really good player. But on the Myrtle Beach side, John, one of my favorite players in the state, Malachi Washington, the running back, has been playing since his freshman year. He's a really good player for them. The quarterback, Goodson Goodrow, hey, listen to this story. Didn't play football last year. He's a baseball guy. Still really learning the position, but he's a really good athlete, can really sling it around. You know, maybe early in the year now, maybe he doesn't have it quite figured out yet, but he will be a good player for them. I think the wide receiver John Simmons could have a breakout season. He reminds you of kind of an Adam Randall, one of those, Myrtle Beach receivers of the past that was so good for them, a J.J. Jones type almost. I think Simmons is a breakout guy to watch out for. I love the linebacker Ricky Escobar. He missed all last year with a torn ACL, so he's back now. It's just hard to think with the talent that they have for the Seahawks and they've had the last, 10, 20, 30, 40 years, whatever it is. I don't think Coach Wilson's going to have 2 bad years in a row down there. But I think with it being week 0, a new quarterback who hasn't had much experience there, I think Camden has a chance to go on the road and pull the upset, if it's an upset, over a 4A team there.
Yeah, this is a Myrtle Beach team. They started to play better toward the end of the year. Still just 5 wins on the year last year, not the Seahawks standard. They did win that first round playoff game against Good Bay River team, and then had got bounced, I think, by West Florence in the second round. No, nothing to be ashamed of there. Very good Knights team. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think this Myrtle Beach team will be better than they were last year, but they're going to be a team that's going to improve as the season goes. Camden's got a lot of establishment. They do lose those heavyweights on the defensive line that they had last year, the last few years, but they're still going to be pretty good defensively.
Yeah, they always are.
They're going to be good defensively. They're going to play with that attitude that Coach Remp emphasizes with that program. And they got playmakers. They got some playmakers on offense. You talk about the quarterback. This is his 3rd, 4th year.
I think 4th year, I believe.
I don't think he started at the start of his freshman year.
Right.
Injuries propelled him into that starting role. He's been very steady as that quarterback position. Obviously, he hasn't gotten beat out. You got Mayran out there that can go all over the field. I think if this game was at the end of the year, it would be a little bit different. I don't think we're going to see another 42-13 blowout.
Yeah, I agree.
I think this game's going to be a lot closer, but Camden should win this game.
Yeah, it should be a fun one down there. No doubt about it. Let's travel back up to the Midlands, John. A really kind of neat matchup here, and that's Christchurch traveling down to Gray Collegiate. I believe it's the first game of the new stadium for Gray as well. 2, childhood high school friends there, and Coach Hatfield and Coach Holmes knew each other growing up. So really cool dynamic there. Christchurch, everybody knows running back Deshaun Reeder, ran for 2,000 plus last year. A Northwestern commit, one of the best backs in the state, regardless of classification. He's a stud. The wide receiver Jackson Rep is a really good player out wide for them. The new quarterback, Tucker Hendricks, has looked good in 7-on-7 and scrimmage and jamborees. So we'll see how much pressure they put on him here in week 0, or if it's another thing like Myrtle Beach where it kind of comes along slowly for them. Defending state champs, you got to give them their credit. I mean, they're a great program. Coach Hatfield has built something special there. No doubt about it. On the Gray Collegiate side, 2-headed monster at running back. B.J. Montgomery, Caleb Ford there, 2 really good studs there for them. Wide receivers, Zay Alford, Jamarius Lockett. I heard some rumors Lockett may not play. Not sure about that, but Zay Alford is a stud out wide either way. New quarterback Tyler Waller, replacing Riley Staten, who's now over at Gaffney. Defensively led by Rylan Cunningham and Michael Bulware Jr., a name everybody knows from this state, of course, there. Offensive line led by the Soul Kid, an App State commit. They've got a lot of talent. And, John, for a 2A team, they're really big on the defensive line. And going against a running team like Christchurch, will that give them the advantage and help them win that ball game at home over the defending 1A state title winners?
And, obviously we'll see how much these kids have grown over the offseason, who these new role players are for Gray. But the times that we have seen them play, I mean, they come off the bus and you go, man, these guys are big.
Yeah.
I mean, they are. We talk about Casey Adams, one of the smallest players that I've seen. Also, maybe one of the most dangerous players we've ever seen play in South Carolina high school football. But that team is big.
Yep.
They seem to always be big. Last few years, we've followed them. I think Christchurch can be competitive in this ball game. I think Gray's better. Gray's got more talent. And then you add in the juice of getting to open up a new stadium, something they've been waiting on, something they deserve for the last couple of years. That they're going to be really, really excited about. Coach Holmes is going to have those guys, I think, a controlled enthusiasm for Friday night. Everything in this game to me points toward Gray coming out and firing all cylinders. Yeah, it's week 0.
Yeah.
Things are going to happen. Things are going to go wrong. But I think I like Gray in this game. They got a lot of things just going for him here in this ball game.
It's neat because these teams are, I feel like, very similar offensively, at least, where they both got established running backs with Reeder at Christchurch, Ford and Montgomery at Gray, new quarterbacks, Waller at Gray, and then, Hendricks at Christchurch, and then a stud outside, or if not more than one, with Jackson Rep at Christchurch, and then Alford at Gray. So a lot of similarities on offense, I feel like. When it's a close game like this early in the year, you tend to maybe lean to the home team. So I think this should be a fun matchup, a really cool matchup. I think, depth-wise, both teams should be fairly similar. I think Gray may have a few more guys out there, but I'm going to go Gray in a close one at home, but should be a really cool matchup seeing, Reeder and Montgomery and Ford kind of go out of there at the running back spot.
And I'll go against what I usually say, because typically in these situations, I say, kind of toss-up game, maybe who's the best player on the field? And I think Christchurch got the best player on the field in Reeder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That you can debate that. That's debatable. To me, that's the best player on the field.
Yeah.
Does Reeder make that difference? And does that sway the game in Christchurch's favor? I don't know. I think Gray's got more talent across the board than Christchurch, but hey, Christchurch is good enough to win this ball game too.
A thing, that we mentioned in the previous show, and a thing to look out for, I think Reeder will be playing a little more defensive back safety than he did last year as well. So how does he hold up, under the playing both ways? Because that wears on a kid no matter how much you practice, especially this time of year. What do we see a lot of cramps out there. So definitely something to keep an eye on with these lower level classifications, the guys that are going both ways for sure early in the year. But it should be a fun matchup down there in the Midlands. And then our fourth corner game of the week, back down to the coast, John, but down to the Citadel. How about Lewisville traveling to play Oceanside? This is a nifty 1A, 2A matchup here. A very intriguing one for me. Lewisville has 19 starters back, quarterback Ian Grissom. They've got some transfers coming in. Deion Brown from Clover, a stud. They got another guy playing safety, I think, who I saw just came in. I can't remember what his last name is, but he'll be there. The Robinson kids, a stud for them as well. They got playmakers all over the field. A very good team last year that's getting older and stronger and bigger. While Oceanside, I feel, has some question marks. People just don't know enough about them yet. They do return Edward Reidenbach, their quarterback. Got him as a steady hand back there. But outside of that, a lot of places have to be kind of, filled and replaced, really. They've got a couple guys out wide. Moscos and Hamilton are going to play wide receiver and DB for those guys. I love the linebackers, Mormon and Brown. And Ben Britton, one of our Super 75 guys, a big-time force on the defensive line there. But a lot of, questions to be answered on the Oceanside side, I would say. Well, I thought we almost know more about Lewisville. Does that make you want to pick the Lions, John, on the road? It's a tough long trip. That's a tough road trip. I'm going to tell you, that's a long way down there from Lewisville, from Richburg down to Charleston. But this should be a really cool 1A, 2A matchup.
I would, with Oceanside, as good as they've been the last few years, really since they've had the program, they've been very good. I would almost never pick them to lose a game dropping down to 1A.
Mm-hmm.
But gosh, if there is a 1A team that can do it, it's this Lewisville team.
Yeah.
With as much talent as they have. I mean, you don't
and
see.
Not just the talent, the depth. They've had, I think they had 50 plus on the roster last year. Probably got a similar number this year. I mean, that's unheard of for a 1A squad.
Yeah. That's incredible to have. That is, and Adrian's saying here
55 varsity players, nobody goes both ways. You don't ever see that. When we're talking about 2A, 3A teams having guys go both ways, Lewisville, they don't need that.
I mean, they've arguably, Dejarin making a great point here. Lewisville might have more depth than Oceanside does.
Yeah,
I don't know what the roster looks like for Oceanside as far as how many kids they got, how many kids are going both ways or not.
Yeah.
But that's going to be interesting to see a 1A team and a 2A team coming out on the bus and going, wow, who's the 1A team again?
Yeah.
So, and they're really talented too. This is going to be, Lewisville's got to play really well.
Mm-hmm.
The playmakers, Brown's got to make plays. Christian's got to be very good to be able to win this game. They can do it, but the game being at Citadel is, what Oceanside's got going for them.
I was going to say, how much of a difference does it make? We've been in 1A games, of course, growing up and in the last several years. The atmosphere there is always great, a lot of these schools, but it's just not. It's not a big ballpark, if that makes sense. They're traveling down to play at Johnson Haygood Stadium, like a legit, college football stadium. Is that going to add? I mean, not that the guys are going to be like shocked or like worried or scared, but does that play a factor at all? You think, John? Maybe just the atmosphere they're going to be playing in, and not necessarily the raucous crowd, but just the surrounding, almost. You would say.
I think what's very important in this ball game for both sides. Probably more so for Lewisville than Oceanside because this is their home field. Lewisville's got to get off, not saying they got to get off to a great start and they got to hit a big play early on or, get a 3-and-out to start off, but don't make a big mistake. Don't make a critical error, those first 2 possessions, your first offensive possession, your first defensive, possession. Don't make a big mistake because, and I don't know anything about playing Friday night. Admittedly, I play a lot of golf. If I go to a really tough golf course I've never been to, it's intimidating. If I get out there in the first hole, boy, I put one off in the woods and I have a terrible first hole, it's going to be in my head, oh boy, this place is too much for me. This is too tough. If they have a bad possession, if something goes wrong, ball bounces the wrong way, they can't get in their own head and go, ooh, we're playing a really good 2A team. We're playing in a 10, 15,000 seat stadium. This moment's a little bit too big for us. I think it's important for them to just not make that big mistake and get that in their head. Just go out there, maybe, and I don't know how much we do. Patrick, I'm a 12, but I'm going higher. It's skyrocketing right now. But don't let that big error happen. And maybe, and I don't know how many high school teams do this. I know we talk about a lot of college teams where maybe you script the first 10 plays or so. Maybe you do that just so you got everybody comfortable and you make sure you don't do anything really goofy, really dumb right off the bat. If they can do that, if they can get past those first 2 possessions, I really like their chances. If you got a fumble on the kickoff or you turn it over first drive, it could be a long night. It could be a long night. Don't do that. Don't make that critical error. You got 48 minutes to play the game to win the game.
Yeah, I think they've got a real shot in this, but I think it should be a fun ball game. I'm interested to see what Coach Wilkes does in year 2 at Oceanside. A guy that is one of the better offensive minds in the state. I've seen him have his team go really fast when they need to. They really can slow it down when they need to. So interesting to see what kind of playmakers he's got and what he wants to do with this version of the Land Sharks. But should be a fun matchup down there at the Citadel on Friday night. And then our 5th Kona game of the week, our SCHSFB game of the week, John. Pinewood Prep going to Beaufort Academy. Beaufort Academy, one of the 2 teams who's already played a game this year in the state. They took down Trinity Collegiate 30-14 last week. They were down 14-6 at half, outscored them 24-0 after the break. They got the new head coach, Nick Schufert, from Thomas Hayward, who's had a lot of success there. The quarterback, his son, Dietrich Schufert, has done a great job. Running back Jackson Porter went 14 for 146 and 3 touchdowns last week. Defense caused 3 turnovers. They looked really good. And then Pinewood Prep, new head coach Devontae Holloman, one of the hires of the whole offseason, no matter the classification or league. Huge news there at Pinewood, led by defensive players, linebacker Corley Watson and defensive end Zach Tyler. Wide receiver Troy Dangers is a great player out wide for them. Working on 2 quarterbacks, trying to figure out who's going to be the guy there. I don't love that, but early in the year still, of course, they can get it figured out. And this is kind of odd here. You feel like only 7 seniors. Yeah, that's not a lot there for this team. I know it's a 2A, 3A matchup, Beaufort Academy being the smaller school, but they just beat a 4A team last week, John. I think they've got a real shot to beat a 4A team and back it up with a win over a 3A team this week.
They certainly do. They certainly do. And I think if there's about 5% of coaches, and no disrespect to any coaches in the state, anywhere, if 95% of the coaches in the state were coaching for Pinewood, I'd probably go the other way.
Yeah.
I think Coach Holland's going to have these boys ready to go. They're going to come in, I think, very motivated and expecting to win, expecting to be in control of this game. I see Pinewood winning this ball game, and this is one of my, and admittedly, I don't put as much focus on SCHSFB. This game, I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, that should be a really, really fun one. Coach Schufer, like I said, has had so many state title wins there at Thomas Hayward, going to a new school, a Beaufort team that was already pretty good last year. We talked about them a lot last year. They had a really good squad. They got better, bringing his son in at quarterback. He's in now, the Porter kid, the Green kid, a lot of weapons for them. Should be really fun. While Pinewood, we don't know a lot about the offense yet, figuring out the quarterback spot, figuring out the running back spot. So we'll see how that goes. But that is our fifth calling game of the week. So looking back at it, our games of the week, we had South Pointe at Spartanburg, Camden at Myrtle Beach, Christchurch at Gray Collegiate, Lewisville at Oceanside, and then Pinewood Prep at Beaufort Academy. Drell, any comments on those games? Any comments from the Facebook or YouTube chat we need to talk about? Or you ready to move on to a quick word from our friends? Or, yeah, give us your thoughts real quick, Drell.
Oh, I'm just I'm with you guys for most of these games. I like the home teams in the first three. I like Spartanburg knocking off South Pointe. Like Myrtle Beach beating Camden, and I like Gray over Christchurch open up.
Myrtle Beach, okay.
Oh,
I like it.
I like Myrtle Beach at home.
The Washington kid's a good player. That running back is a stud.
Man. And then my first road team, I like Lewisville setting the tone there and beating Oceanside. I think they're just a really good team. Like John was saying, man, they're deeper than most teams, in 3, 4A, stuff like that. It's going to be interesting to see if there's going to be an overreaction, though, kind of like we did with Oceanside last year. We boosted them for that close loss against South Florence throughout the year, and then Big Abbeville just destroyed those boys in the state championship. So we'll see.
I will say, Fort Drill, right quick, I may be worried. I might be scarred a little bit from the last time I picked Lewisville to win a ball game. It really backfired in the playoffs against me, so maybe I'm a little bit, scared to take that leap again. That Christchurch game did not go well for the Lions. But this should be a fun one here then in the 2023 version of those guys for sure.
For sure. We got a lot of listeners in here today. We'll show them some love. We had Daydream. We've seen him a few times. He's really excited.
Go Lions.
I don't know why he's excited to see you guys on the screen. Zach, always,
our guy. Clinton, big season loading. Patrick, good to have you in here, buddy. I know you're going up to Crest on Friday. I'm sure check out that Gaffney game.
That'll be fun.
Big Gaffney. Donald here. What's going on, man?
Let those guys know.
J Law wants where are we going this week? So always got to
looking at Christchurch Gray on Friday. We shall see if we make a trip Saturday to maybe Charlotte for one of those ball games. We shall see. Brandon, good to have you in here, man. Deshaun has got a really good chance, I feel like, to win that Mr. Football Award. We'll see how that turns out.
And of course, Patrick and Zach have been dunking on John's golf game.
Jeez, so it feels like it sometimes.
I've been laughing behind the scenes that whole time. And then Antonio Harrison, had to get him in here. Big
man, Tubu, what's going on, man? Glad to see
you
healthy and balling out there. Looking forward to see you on the college field here soon. Palmetto coming up with new head coach Ryan Norton, John Drell. Should be a fun season to watch those guys. They got a big matchup this week, I believe. I think for who they're playing, but it should be a fun one there for those guys. We'll get to it in a minute, of course, when we go through the breakdown. But
all right, so we'll go through the commercials real quick, give you guys a break, and then we'll go back on the other side.
Sounds good.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates, KONA, offers the most advanced training and experience in orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, sports medicine, and pain management in the upstate. 3 convenient locations in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville. Go to kona.care to learn more.
All right, John, let's take a look at 5A. Start there and go through the ranks. Drew, still got a comment popping up on if he said or not, but John, Leo, let's look at the 5A matchups. Break those down as we go through them, and then obviously you guys hop in with your comments if you have thoughts on your team or want to talk about a certain team, and let's do that.
All right, stop me whenever you want to go.
Yeah, I
may stop myself. We'll see what happens here. We'll go through it. Starting off, Low Country, we've got Timberland going to Berkeley.
I want to stop right there. Obviously a cross classification matchup there, but I'm really excited to see Coach Lodge in the Stags this year. We had him on the new coach interview earlier this year. Really sharp guy coming out of Seminole High School, won a state title down there. I think it was 7A or 8A in Florida. So he can really get it done. I think Berkeley's probably a year or so away from being like really big time contender, but he's doing some good things already. That program, getting the weight program like you wanted it to be, getting a new offense installed. They were kind of behind the times a little bit on what they're doing offensively there. Timberland, always a solid team, but I think Berkeley starts off Coach Lodge's tenure with the win at home.
Yeah, I'd like to see them set the tone here. This is a game where you feel like going down a classification, or at least one, right? Maybe two.
I think Timberland's 2A. Yeah. So 5A to 2A, three classes.
You can really set the tone here, and get off to a good start. And I think this is good. And I don't know when this game was scheduled, but I think this is good scheduling for Berkeley. Try to get your feet up under you a little bit with the new staff and kind of new scheme that you're trying to put into play here. Got a rivalry game here in the Midlands. Ridgeview at Blythewood. Gonna be a spicy ball game.
Yeah.
Over there in Blythewood. This is gonna be a fun one to be at, fun one to see how it goes. And at least be a pretty good game from a pretty even ball.
Yeah, so I don't know how much is out there, and I don't want to if it's this is I don't want to out anybody, and I don't want to get us in trouble either. But if you guys remember, Ridgeview had a little issue last year where they had an ineligible player and had to basically forfeit some games, couldn't make the playoffs. Blythewood may have known something about that. We'll just leave it at that. I don't know. I'm not, making any accusations, but let's just say this is going to be a fun one there for Coach Howard going up against Coach Martin there for Blythewood. And Blythewood's a good football team. Won their region last year, won a playoff game. They've got Edward Robinson back, 25 sacks last year. The quarterback, Harrison Collins, is a really good player for them. And then Ridgeview, a team that we don't know a ton about yet. They're replacing a lot of the weapons outside, replacing the running back. The quarterback who did play some last year for them is back, Braylon Boyd. I believe Coach Howard's son's getting some playing time off offense for them, so he's a good player for them. But I think Ridgeview is going to have something to prove in this ball game. I like the Blazers. I do.
I do too. I like Ridgeview in this ball game. Just a rivalry to begin with. Blythewood was created. It pulled a lot of kids from Ridgeview. It's a lot of guys in the same area there in Northeast Columbia in the Blythewood area. I think I like Ridgeview in this game too. Again, like you said, not really sure what they've got, but they got to play well. Blythewood, defending region champs. They're gonna make them earn it. That's for sure.
Yep.
Best to the upstate, we got TL Hanna going to Boiling Springs.
Yeah, Coach Reel's second year for Boiling Springs. See what they've got, if they're improving or not. TL Hanna, always a tough out. Should be fun. That is not a game, by the way.
We've got skip that one. Ghost game.
We've got some incorrect games on there. I just noticed that. But
this one, believe this is a real game. Beaufort going to Cane Bay. Fort Mill will be at Catawba Ridge. Irmo going to Chapin. As we talked about earlier, we talked about in the preview show, Dutch Fork hosting.
But also wrong. Dutch Fork at Colquitt County. I don't know if you got the old one there, John. What you got? Yeah, that'll be a tough ball game. I know, Jarrell, you're pretty up to date on Colquitt County. They've had a lot of studs come through there. So that'll be a tough matchup for the Silver Fox to see what Coach Knotts has got this year with that squad. But there are some high-level playmakers on that Colquitt County squad, no doubt about it.
Yeah, that's going to be a good matchup for Dutch Fort to get started with. Could be a loss, but you know what? It really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things here. Going out of region play, going out of state to play.
Yeah.
Just a good experience and good to play some really high-level talent for Dutch Fork. Unfortunately for the Silver Foxes, they got to go out of state sometimes to do that.
Yeah, John, I think just go to the current scoreboards, what I went to find that. But the next one here, I know you guys love this matchup. Gaffney at Crest over in Shelby, a team that they haven't played in a while. Should be a really fun ball game. Our guy AJ Lee, intern report for Moving the Chains, is going to be there. Obviously, Riley State take over at quarterback should be a lot of fun there. They've got the weapons. They got McDowell. They got Tate. Defensively, they got Cook and Putnam and whatnot. They got an amazing Little John outside. I think Gaffney beats Crest. Crest didn't play so great in the Jamboree. Lost to Daniel, I believe it was, last weekend. That worries me a little bit. And Gaffney always has something to prove. I've seen some trash talk going on already in some of these groups online. So I think the Indians go across the border and start off 1-0.
Yeah, I just don't know a ton about Crest, but just like you said with everything that Gaffney's got coming back, and the attitude that Gaffney takes in the ball games, like the Indians in that game.
Yeah,
and we're pulling for them. Let's represent South Carolina again. We're already whooped their butt in the Shrine Bowl. Let's let's start off week 0.
Exactly
beating
right.
them too.
Exactly right. You want to go ahead? You got it now?
Yeah, I think we've got had the wires crossed a little bit. I'm going to try again here. We've got JL Man going to East Side.
That's a fun Greenville County matchup. A lot of offensive firepower. Calvin Banks at East Side, obviously McClellan and Ethan Anderson, 2 of our Super 75 guys at JL Man. Coach Watson really building something nice there for the Patriots. I think they win this ball game. Should be a fun team to watch all year long, really.
I think so. And I'm putting a little bit of stock in the JL Man this year. They showed some flashes of being really good, really potent offense. Behind Ethan Anderson at quarterback, I believe. So they've got a high ceiling, I think, for JL Man. Important to get started off on the right foot, get that confidence going. This is a game just missed being a game of the week here in the upstate. We've got Dorman going to Greenville. A Dorman team with a lot of questions all over the field. New coaching head coach as well. Greenville, on the other hand, a lot coming back. A lot of really high expectations again for the Red Raiders. A really good season again last year. They've got an offensive line on paper that should be able to compete with anybody, be it 4A or 5A. This is going to be a really interesting game, in my opinion. I think more so for Greenville than Dorman, because Dorman's still going to be good. What can they do matched up against a very powerful 5A program? Greenville, they're going to be around at the end of the year in the 4A conversation, but it's going to be interesting to see how they can get kicked off here in Dorman Friday.
Yeah, I think Dorman is going to do some growing up. I think they got to replace a lot on offense. I like Greenville to win this ball game, but I think I'll learn more about Dorman than I will about Greenville in this match.
Okay, cool. Well, we're both going to learn a lot then. And this is going to be a fun game. This is going to be a last 2 possessions. I think will decide this ball game.
Yeah.
Moving on, this is a fun matchup here. We got Conway going to Hartsville. Conway, this is a 5A, 4A matchup here as well. Conway, a team that's trying to get back to where they've been years ago. Conway used to be a very good program. Taking a little bit of a step down lately. Hartsville, a program in 4A that's been really, really good. They are in a really tough region. This could be a fun game. I think this could be a close game. I like the Red Foxes to win this ball game. They're hosting. But, hey, we'll see. I think we'll learn a lot about Conway in this ball game to see where maybe they stand now.
I'm really high on Hartsville. I think they've got a really good shot to make it to Orangeburg. Honestly, this year under Coach Calabrese there. Conway, it's just it's hard to pick them until they show us something. The quarterback, the Granger kid's a good player, and new coach, Josh Pierce, see what he's got there. But I think for right now, it's got to be Hartsville. They're more proven and just more trusted, I guess, in my eyes.
Yeah, and hey, Conway, you want a chance to prove yourself? This is it right here, week 0, right off the bat. So this is the one that was a little bit crossed up earlier. Burns is actually going up to North Carolina to play Huff Friday night.
Saturday night.
Or Saturday night.
Yep.
And is this ball game in Bank of America?
No, this one is in the Charlotte Memorial Side, something like that. Yeah. Northwestern's it.
Okay. So this would be fun. So if you don't know anything about Huff High School, they're a pretty storied program in that Charlotte area. Typically have a lot of D1 talent flowing through that program. So this would be a really good test for Burns here in week 0 for those guys.
We know Burns has skill players with Bomar and, Livingston and Weaver and those guys. Interested to see what quarterback Andrew Stevens can do, filling in for Colby Shaw there. Should be a really neat matchup. And like you said earlier, John, pulling for these South Carolina teams to get wins. Like I want Gaffney to win. I want Northwestern to win. I want Dutch Fork to win. I want Burns to win. So hopefully the Rebels can pull it off up there in Charlotte.
We've got Nation Ford will travel to Indianaland, kick off their season. Fun Sumter County game. Sumter will go to Lakewood. You expect Sumter to win this ball game, but Lakewood, hey, use this as a growing opportunity. I think Lakewood could have a good year, though, this year. Lakewood's a team they've been like right there.
New coach, Willie Alford, as well there, so that should be a fun squad to follow.
Game in Lawrence County. Hillcrest will be visiting Lawrence to start off their season.
The inaugural game for Bennett Swigert there for the Rams. I think they're going to be good again. People are kind of writing them off because they lost their coach, they lost the running back, lost the quarterback. They've got some talent. I think they're going to surprise some folks. I think they win this ball game at Lawrence. and I think Coach Wire gets off to a 1-0 start.
I think so too. Hillcrest, again, this year, I think they're going to be another team really to watch for two reasons. I feel like we know, I think we know they should be really good.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of unknowns with this team too going into this year. They'll be a fun team to watch though for sure.
Yep.
This is another game that just missed our games of the week, and I am really excited about this game. West Florence going down and going to play Lexington Wildcats. Two teams that, in my opinion, maybe flying under some people's, and I say some people, the pollsters' radar this year. West Florence, I think West Florence is going to be really, really good in 4A this year. And then Lexington with Coach Curtis coming on board, I think Lexington is going to be, they were really good last year, and Coach Curtis coming in, I think this program is going to take another step to me. And for these teams, these 5A teams in the Midlands, especially this region, it's, how much can you make that gap close with you and Dutch Fork? They're the measuring stick for these guys.
West Florence replacing Lloyd, replacing Hudson, those guys. They've got Franklin Emerson back at linebacker/quarterback, Kelvin Hunter, the SC commits back. Love Trey Leonard, the transfer from Trinity Collegiate, in at running back. He's a really special player there. Lexington loses Jonah Norris. They got the quarterback back, Taden Mines. They got to replace a lot on run game there with Norris being gone. But I think Lexington at home, wins this ball game. But that should be a really fun match. I think it was a really close game last year as well, I believe.
I tell you what, and I think you're right. I think Lexington is the team that wins this ball game. But I tell you what, it seems like West Florence and South Florence in these types of games where they're going on. We talked about West Florence played Burns.
Yes,
last year,
Burns.
2 years ago.
Yeah,
they beat them. These Florence, West Florence and South Florence like playing these big games where you think, that other team might win this game. South Point might win this game, and they just rain on the parade. So it'll be interesting to see if West Florence can do that Friday night down in Lexington.
Jay, you're right. Emerson's a great player. He's a really fun kid to watch. He's a heck of a stud out there for sure.
Here's the team that you're high on this year. White Knoll going to Orangeburg Wilkinson. We've got Lugoff Elgin going to River Bluff. River Bluff, a team that I think they are maybe not under the radar type team, but I think they're a team that's pretty good that just gets overshadowed because of that region.
Yeah.
But I think River Bluff, they could have a really good season this year.
Really good quarterback Parker Murray. Really good receiver Stephen Collier as well. So they've got some talent there.
Then we've got down the Strand, we got North Myrtle Beach. We're going to Socastee. We've got Goose Creek going to South Florence. A really fun matchup for these two programs. And I think, we know South Florence got to answer some questions on how you replace Lenore Sellers. And then Goose Creek, a team that, they're probably not far away from being that Goose Creek of the early 2000s that was really, really dominant. This is going to be a really, really good test for Goose Creek. And really South Florence too, because you're playing a pretty high-powered, high-ceiling potential monster in Goose Creek 5A squad.
Yeah, everybody wants to see what do you do without Lenore Sellers. I don't know if we'll get all those answers this week or not. I do think South Florence wins this ball game. But Goose Creek is a team that, started off so bad last year, came on to win the region. Interesting to see what they've got, but I think the Bruins win at home.
I think so too. I think so. We've got Burke will be going to RB Stall. James Island will be headed to Stratford.
One of our pickup matchups here, Stratford, a team that has been kind of trending upward, you feel like. Got a pretty good quarterback there for those guys. But James Island is just a machine with Scott at quarterback and a Montre Scott, Wushy Ravenel. A lot of studs down there for Coach McCoy. I think James Island wins this ball game. But Stratford is a team I think could be sneaky good this year as well. Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see if James Island can continue to play that awesome defense that they played all last year too. We've got State in the Low Country. Got St. James going to Waccamaw. Got Lower Richland making the big trip going down to West Ashley. Carolina Forest will go over the state line. They will play West Brunswick out of North Carolina. Spring Valley will play at Westwood. And Palmetto will be at Woodmont to round out the 5A slate.
Fun game there. Woodmont, new head coach Ty Sutherland. Palmetto, new head coach Ryan Norton. Should be a fun matchup there, kind of in the, the Piedmont area, as you might want to say. But let's take a look now at 4A, John. Unless, Drill, we have any comments we need to roll through right quick.
No, we're good, guys. Keep going.
Perfect.
I'll try not with the repeats, but, we may have a few. Give me a little leeway here.
First show of the year. Give them some leeway.
Yeah, that's right. We kind of got a preseason game with the preseason previews, but we'll see. Aiken will host Lakeside. Lakeside, a pretty good program out of the state of Georgia. Battery Creek will be hosting Hilton Head Island. Bluffton will be going across the state line to play Beach High School. That sounds pretty cool. How would you like to go to Beach High School? That sounds like a lot.
Going to the beach. Yeah, love it.
Yeah. We've got Hampton County. Will have their first game at Collegiate County. Again, Hampton County, the combination of
Estill and Wade Hampton. Estill and Wade Hampton. Yep.
Really want to keep my eye on Hampton County this year. I think they're going to be really good.
And then Collegiate County, year one under Adam Kinlock, a Collegiate County grad there. Really exciting to see how he does this year. Should be a fun matchup.
A program I'm high on this year, been high on them the last couple of years, really. Crestwood will be hosting Richland Northeast, a game where you're stepping up a class to play R&E, a 5A R&E team. I think Crestwood's good enough to win this game.
Two really good quarterbacks. Javion Martin there at Crestwood, the Wilson kid. I think he's committed to NC State, I believe, at Richland Northeast. So I don't know what they've got around him there at R&E. I think Crestwood's pretty good. Should be an exciting game with some fireworks.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people in the Midlands are really high on the quarterback at R&E. Really, really high on him. So we'll see how they see if they can start off with a win. I think that'd be a pretty impressive win for R&E.
Yeah,
even though it's a 4A Crestwood team, a good Crestwood team. Now, a fun game here. We got AC Floor going to Greenwood. That's going to be a fun ball game. AC Floor, the better team in this matchup. But it's a fun game. Fun game that you don't get to see that often. A Midlands team going into Greenwood County. Be a fun ball game.
A Florida team that's going to rely on their defense early in the year until they find out offensively what they want to do. Greenwood, Darius Gary there. And I've heard, John, they're actually going to throw the ball a little bit more this year than they have in the past as well. So interesting to see how that works out there for the Eagles. A team that, you don't want to, I'm sure how to say this. They need to have a good year. They haven't been the Greenwood of old the last couple of years, it feels like. They've had a couple years that are down by their standards. Hope they bounce back with a big season, but that's a fun matchup, like you mentioned, no doubt.
Yeah, we talked about it in the previous show with Greenwood. They had V. Morton was hurt a lot of last year. That was very detrimental to them. But for Greenwood, the success for that team, if they keep the standard Greenwood offense, it revolves around the quarterback play. And that option offense, wing T. But if they throw it a little bit more, we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
we'll see how that changes the dynamic there. Now we've got this is a pretty fun ball game here too. In the upstate, got Daniel going under the water tower to play Greer Friday night. A fun matchup that I feel like we don't see as much as we should.
Yeah, Daniel 59-4 the last 5 years. They'd won 2 state titles in a row or 3, John? I can't remember. Either way, they were on quite a roll there, but obviously replacing a lot of pieces. Obviously, you have the good offensive lineman Watson Young is back. They beat that Crest team we talked about earlier in the Jamboree last week because they've got some talent. Greer team also a talent with Bird out wide, Martin there at the running back spot. Quarterback's kind of up in the air right now for those guys, I feel like. But I think until you see Daniel lose a game, it's hard to pick them, to lose. But a team that I just don't know a lot about name-wise yet, I would say.
Yeah, and you got to believe that Daniel is going to be ahead of Greer in this ball game. I think with Daniel, we'll find out more toward the end of the year. Once we get a little bit more on their resume and to see who those playmakers are that emerge this year that they have to step up this year. But as we just saw, a program that's 59-4.
Yeah,
they're not gonna nosedive. They're gonna be very, very good again this year too. Really, for Daniel, I think for me, it's gonna be, hey, who are those new names that we're gonna be talking about every week? We just don't know who they are yet.
Yep.
We've got Midland Valley will be playing Grovetown out of Georgia. They'll be making that trip to Georgia. We've got Chester. The Cyclones going to Lancaster.
A lot of folks are high on Chester in 3A. Trooper Floyd back at quarterback, another year older. Dadrian says they beat R&E 30-0 in a Jamboree last week. You hate to see that if you're R&E. But Chester program is always hard-nosed under Coach Floyd there. Defensively, they're solid. A Lancaster team, John, that I feel like was not as bad as the record showed last year. They just play in that really tough region with South Pointe and, South Pointe, Northwestern, Tall Bridge. They beat Chester last year. in the opening. I think it was week 0. Remember, the lights went out, had to come back and finish on Saturday. So Lancaster beat Chester last year. They get them over at Lancaster Memorial Stadium. This time, this game's going to show us a lot. I would be shocked if it's not a good ball game.
Yeah, I think it'll be a really ball game. But, you say, hey, Lancaster won this game last year. I think Chester's probably the better team here. They should be the better team here, but they were probably the better team last year too, and they didn't win the game. So, you got to go out and you still got to make the plays. You got to win the game. So that should be a pretty fun matchup next week or this week.
Yep.
Here a couple of days. Moving on, we've got Lake Marion going to Lucy Beckham. Got May River hosting New Hampstead out of Georgia. We talked about Camden going to Myrtle Beach, one of our games of the week. North Augusta will be hosting Evans High School out of Georgia. That's an Evans program that I feel like I hear about a lot.
Yeah.
So that could be a tough ball game for North Augusta. Pickens will be hosting Crescent. Northwestern will be playing at Providence Day.
Now, this is a ball game here at Bank of America Stadium, the Keep Pounding Classic. I think it's the first high school game ever at the Panther Stadium. So it should be a lot of fun. Obviously, Northwestern defending upper state champs, Finley Polk, Turbo Richards, all those guys there under Coach Walford. Providence Day, Jaden Davis, the Michigan commit. They got a Michigan committed receiver as well under Coach Greer there, Chad Greer from the QB1 days, from the Oceanside Collegiate head coach days. So 2 really high-powered programs. You worry a little bit week 0 with Northwestern because they have a lot to replace up front. How well have those guys gelled so far? What are they going to have up front? But I love Turbo Richards. I love the Polk kid. Greer Hopkins out wide, the Burris kids out wide. That's going to be a fun game, man. We mentioned it earlier. I hope all the SC teams win. I'm certainly pulling for Northwestern, but it will be a tall task Saturday night.
I hope a ton of people go to that game. I know the Panthers hosted the Jets. Was that maybe last week for a preseason game? I'd rather go to this game than the Panthers-Jets game.
Yeah.
That's going to be a really fun ball game. And a lot of talent on that field, too. Well, we've got Wade Hampton going to Seneca. Silver Bluff will be at South Aiken.
That's a fun game there. One of our pick-em matchups, if you haven't got into that, do that. Terrence Smith, Javon Edwards there at South Aiken. Silver Bluff, the Atterbury kid. They've got Grant. They've got Boyd. They've got, I cannot remember the other guy's name right now, Fuller. They've got a lot of studs under Coach Bryant. Obviously, 4A, 2A, you think you usually lean South Aiken, but this could be a close ball game, I feel like, down there in the Aiken area.
Yeah, I think this would be a good game. You got to lean South Aiken a little bit here, but this is going to be a game where you got to earn it. You got to earn it. It's not just, hey, let's warm up against a 2A team.
Yeah.
Silver Bluff's not that kind of program.
Yep.
You got to go out and play the ball game. We'll have Swansea hosting Airport. Travelers Rest will host Riverside, and Wilson hosting Aner to close out 4A.
Looking down at 3A, John. Let's keep on rolling.
3A. We got Clinton going to Batesburg, Leesville. Could be a good ball game.
A fun matchup. Like I told you in the previous show, I've heard that Batesburg, Leesville has some talent this year. I haven't seen them practice jamboree and that stuff, but I've heard they may be back to their ways of old, which would be good for Batesburg, Leesville. Need that program to be good. I know Zach's excited about Clinton, a team that interested to learn more about them too. New quarterback stepping in, some new weapons with the Copeland kid being gone, Bryson James being gone. They've got Jaden Robinson back and another Copeland stepping in as well. Defensively, Zavarion, I can't think of his last name, the Cincinnati commit. He's a stud. Coach Campbell does a great job on that side of the ball. I want to see how much more they throw it. We mentioned that last week. They're going to throw a little bit more than they did in the past. We'll see how that goes for them. I think they win this ball game over BL, but we'll learn some stuff about the Panthers, how if they are close to being back or not this Friday night.
Yeah, and for me, I know Clinton's pretty good. I know they're replacing Lap, but we know they're really good.
Yep.
For Batesburg, Leesville, they might be really good, but I got to see it first.
Yeah.
I got to see it in action first. What you're doing in the off season, practices, even scrimmages, jamborees, that's one thing. Friday night, when it really counts, totally different thing, especially when you're playing the Red Devils, because those boys aren't going to give you an inch either. We've got Brooklyn Casey will be hosting Harding, a school out of North Carolina. Blue Ridge will be at Chesney. Darlington will host Central of Pageland. Dixie hosting Pendleton. So Dixie had some preseason team photos.
Yeah, the
put
boys
together.
getting pumped up there for the Hornets.
I saw also on the news, I believe at Dixie High School, getting some renovations to their school themselves as well. A lot going on there in Greenwood County for those boys.
Yeah,
so
I do want to mention that Darlington Pageland Central game. Coach Johnson, first year there at Darlington, he's got some athletes. The McFadden kid's a really good player. Pageland Central, we told her last week, loaded with athletes, had a problem scoring last year. Defense was really good. Offense, not so much. This is a fun matchup. I think Coach Johnson's going to take a year or two to really get this program really turned around. They should be obviously better this year than they have been. This is a team, I think on both sides, we're going to learn a little about how much of a contender can Darlington be, and did Central figure out the offense or not?
Yeah, I think this is a game. Whoever wins this ball game, I think can really take some momentum from it, because Darlington, just in all honesty, they've had a hard time winning games.
Yes. Yeah.
Just simply winning.
Hadn't won in a couple of years, I think, actually.
Just winning the ball game would be huge for them. And then for Central, so if they can win and beat a 3A team, even though it's, Darlington team that struggled, a program that struggled last few years, just winning a game against a 3A team right off the bat can give you some confidence and let you build going into the rest of your season and build off of what you had going for you last year.
Yeah.
Like you said, for the Eagles, for Central, a bigger issue for them. Hey, let's score. Let's see what we can do to move that football a little bit more than what they did last year. We'll have Keenan going to Dreer, Emerald hosting 96, Georgetown will be hosting Hanahan, Green Sea Floyds will be hosting Loris.
Two fun games in a row. Georgetown new coach Bradley Abrams coming back to Georgetown from Woodruff, where he was, previously. Hanahan new coach Milan Turner coming out of the Georgia ranks there. They've got some offensive firepower there, but they've got a lot of pieces they got to figure out as well, like all these teams do. Should be a fun matchup there. I think Hanahan wins that one. And then Loris Green Sea Floyds. Loris, a team that I was really high on last year, had some really good playmakers. They lost some guys down the stretch, had some injuries and whatnot. The Huff kid is back. Green Sea Floyd's year one under alum Patrick Martin should be improved. But I think Loris 3A, a little too much depth for that 1A Green Sea Floyd's team.
Most likely. We've got losing my place here. Oh, so I believe this is a rematch of a week 0 game last year. Lake City and Lawrence Manning.
It is. I believe it was a close win for Lake City as well last year.
Yeah, this was a game where I thought Lake City was going to kind of dominate, and Lawrence Manning came out and played really, really well. Really, really competitive game. Lawrence Manning, this go around, they get to host this game. So hopefully we have another really, really good ball game. And Lawrence Manning hosting, maybe they can use that to flip it.
Lake City, defensive lineman Lorenzo McFadden Presley, one of our Super 75 guys. He's a really good player. They are playing for their coach. Coach Baker's still in the hospital after that bus wreck a few weeks ago, so they've got a little extra chip on their shoulder for sure. Lawrence Manning lost some talent from last year, but Coach First does a great job there. Always fun to see these SCHSFB high school league matchups early in the year. So it should be a fun one down there. And playing the Swamp Cats at home, not an easy task.
Yeah. And they know they can be competitive with these boys.
Yeah.
They know they can do it. We'll have Carolina playing at Liberty. Manning will be hosting Kingstree. Manning program's got, I think, some high hopes this year for them.
Yes, a lot of talent returning. Kingstree lost some playmakers, but remember, this is only year 2 of that school, combining. So we'll see what they've got under Brian Smith there, but a lot of athletes on that field, I can tell you that.
Say that again.
A lot of athletes on that field.
Two schools combining?
Yes, Kingstree took in, what was the school that Kingstree brought in? What school closed down? I cannot remember. But Kingstree is a newer combined school.
Okay.
Yes.
Kingstree's been around a while.
Yes, they absorbed the school. I can't remember which one it is now, but yes.
Okay.
Somebody in the chat, get in here and tell us.
If he gave me 3 options to pick from, I think I'd get it.
Yep.
We'll get to it.
I do want to say, I see a comment in the chat, Drill. Jason Hardy said LMA wins.
C.E. Murray. Thank you, Jason.
C.E. Murray, that's who they took in, yes. Lawrence Manning, they've got a real shot, I think, to win that Lake City game. They really do.
Yeah. We've got, let's see, where are we? North Charleston will be going to a Military Magnet to open their season. Philip Simmons will be hosting Andrews, a Philip Simmons team that's always been pretty good. See what they can do this year. They can take another step up.
Coach Bendig has done a great job there. Troy Stevenson, Georgia Tech committed defensive back's a really good player for them. And the guys are playing Andrews. I mentioned them last week is kind of a sleeper maybe in 2A. A program that doesn't get talked about a lot, but has had some pretty good success in that region with Marion and Mullins and those guys in Kingstree as well. But I think Philip Simmons is primed for a really big year, I think.
Yeah, I think Adrian's will be good, but this is a game I think Philip Simmons should win this ball game.
Yeah.
Broome will be at Powdersville.
This is a fun matchup for me. Broome running back Jalen McGill, I believe he's a sophomore. I believe Jarrell. Somebody hop in and tell us. He's a stud.
He's only a sophomore.
Sophomore, yeah. He's getting a lot of big-time D1 Power 5 looks. Really good player. What they've got around him, I don't know. Powdersville, I thought everybody's kind of writing them off because Thomas Williams is gone, Jalen Rambert's gone, Drake Sloan's gone, yada, yada, yada. They got some studs back. Eli Hudgens, Elijah Huggins, Harrison Jeffries. They've got a lot of talent for Coach Muster there. I think Powdersville wins this ball game, but that's a fun game to go watch because I think you're going to see some firepower on both sides from both offenses.
I think both teams are going to have a little bit to prove here right off the bat too, because Broome, they want to establish themselves as, hey, we're pretty good. We can play. We can play with the Powdersville that just play for a state championship. And I think for Powdersville on that side of the field, they got I think they're saying, hey, yeah, we lost a lot, but the people we got here, we're still really, really good. And I think they're going to want to prove that very quickly.
Yeah,
Friday night too. So here's a game. This is a fun game here. Newberry going to Union. A Newberry team, second year of the program, I believe.
Yep, Coach Jeter, Union grad, actually played on those great teams with Crosby and all those boys back in the day. Interesting to see what he can do in his year two. They started off kind of slow, really came on towards the end of the year. They've got some young players. House out wide as a stud at receiver. Union County, you just keep waiting on them to step up and just to wake up and be a big program. Is it this year? I don't know, but that's a fun matchup there between the Bulldogs and the Jackets.
Yeah, Union and Newberry too. Really, Union. South Carolina high school football is better when Union's good.
Mm-hmm.
We want them. I think everybody, consensus. Hey, we want to see Union be good again. We'll have Fountain Inn going to West Stoke, new Fountain Inn program.
I believe real chance for them to get their first ever win. I think, John, on Friday over West Stoke, but we shall see. Brett Nichols, head coach, came out of the college ranks. Fountain Inn's a program that, is still getting. I think they've only got juniors this year. I think at that school, I believe, so they're still building. But there'll be a fun team to watch in the next few years.
We'll have Palmetto going to Woodmont, and Chapman will be at Woodruff. Fun matchup here.
Yeah, RJ, so thoughts on Chapman. This is a fun game here. You mentioned I love the Cunningham kid for Chapman, a really good player at wide receiver. They do have to replace some other guys, quarterback and whatnot. But Coach Cabanis has done a good job there. I think it's his third year now. Woodruff, first game under Coach Brett Sloan. See what they have. I don't know a lot about what Woodruff has got. We'll learn a lot about them. And then in the next couple weeks, I think Chapman wins the ball game, even though it's on the road. But should be a fun matchup with the Wolverines and the Panthers. And
RJ talking about Chapman looking good in there. I don't know if that was a scrimmage or a jamboree against Shelby. So good sign to see. I tell you what, and that's cool to see. It's easy to make excuses if you look bad or you don't play well in a scrimmage or a jamboree. Oh, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't matter. It's early on. But if you look good, hey, that's hey, you got it on the ball. It's better looking bad, isn't it? Yeah, you're starting off ahead of schedule, I feel like, because there's going to be a lot of teams, week 0, there are going to be penalties, cramps, kicking the football around a little bit. So if you can look sharp early on, boy, that's a bonus.
Yes.
So good sign there for the Panthers. I like to see Chapman really, really good again. I don't think they're too far away. And we talked about Woodruff, the historic program, really before my time.
Yeah. Coach Varner and whatnot.
Good to see Woodruff if they can come back up too.
Yeah.
Now we'll get into, want to get into 2A, just dive right into it.
Let's do it.
We got Big A. Abbeville will be hosting McCormick.
I think those guys roll. I mean, nothing against McCormick, but Abbeville is Abbeville, and they still are Abbeville. I think the Panthers win this one.
Yeah.
Big.
I think we're going to say that a lot this year.
Yeah.
We've got Blacksburg going to Beaufort. Columbia will be at C.A. Johnson. Fairfield Central going to Carvers Bay, a Griffins team with some pretty high expectations this year.
Watch out for those guys. Last year had the young quarterback, a freshman, Cam McMillan. Yeah, I see Robbie in here right now. Cam was a great player as a freshman last year. Bigger, stronger this year. He's got some great weapons outside. That Fairfield Central team made some noise last year. I think they can make a really deep run in 2A this year. Should be a lot of fun to follow them. And always one of the best home atmospheres across the state as well. So interesting to see how far they can go. I like that team a lot. Carver's Bay, a perennial power down there in 1A. What do they have this year? We shall see. But I like Fairfield Central in this ballgame, even though they're on the road.
I do too. I think Griffin's going to have they got potential to have a really special season this year.
Yeah.
We'll have Blue Ridge going to Chesney. Lee Central will be at Chesterfield. We have Edisto hosting Bamberg Earhart. Fox Creek will host St. Joseph's. We talked about one of our games of the week. Christchurch going to Gray. The War Eagles there, Gray, opening up their new stadium. So that'll be a lot of fun there. Latta Vikings hosting Mullins.
Big matchup here for Latta. They had a good year last year. People probably weren't really expecting to be as good as they were. You think you want to build off of that? You better beat this Mullins team. I mean, Mullins is I think, new coach. I don't think they're going to be very good this year. No offense. They've got some building to do. Latta needs to win this game, needs to win it handily and prove that we're legit. Yeah.
And, Latta got off to a good start last year. They need to do the same thing this year. Friday night it starts out. Don't trip over yourself.
Yeah.
You're the better team really in this matchup. You're at home. It's your game to win.
Yep.
Go out and do it. We've got Mid-Carolina will be hosting Saluda.
A Saluda team, I saw a question earlier about how they were doing this year. Lost a ton of seniors. I think we mentioned it last week. Lost 20 seniors. But they do have a lot of, kids coming out of the program. So a lot of guys are replacing, but it's hard to replace 20 guys. The quarterback is back, the A-Rent kid, but you lose Tyleek Mathis. I think they beat Mid-Carolina. How they do after that, up for debate.
Benjamin knows all about it. Saluda, that is an awesome place to go for a game. Yeah. That support's going to be there for the Tigers. They're going to be tough for everybody. Mm-hmm. I know they got new kids stepping in, but that's another program. They're not just, oh, wow, Saluda was good last year. No, they're good most years.
Yeah, Coach Young does a great job.
I believe in Saluda being very, very good again this year. We've got Lakeview going to Marion. Another fun matchup there in the PD.
This is a Thursday night game too, actually. I believe Marion, hung 60 on them on the road last year. Gabe Cusack had, 5 or 6 touchdowns. I think Marion wins this game again. Lakeview replacing a lot of pieces, getting it still figured out. Marion's a little more of a known commodity. Quayshede Scott, Gabe Cusack, Tyshawn Sanders. I think the Swamp Foxes at home will light it up offensively again. I don't know if it's going to be quite as bad as last year, but I like Marion to win this one pretty big.
I don't think it's going to be as bad as it was last year. I think Lakeview's going to keep this one a little bit closer. Johnsonville will go to North Central. This one could get ugly. Johnsonville, very good.
Yeah.
North Central, they've got some rebuilding to do. Not to say they can't do it, not to say they can't do it this year, but Johnsonville right now a little bit ahead of them.
Yep.
We'll have, we talked about one of our games of the week, Oceanside hosting Lewisville. Very, very intriguing matchup here. A lot of talent on that football field for that game. Bethune-Bowman will be at Pelion. Portugal will be hosting Bishop England. Strom-Thurmond, good season for the Rebels last year. They will be hosting Laney High School out of Georgia. And Wilson-Elko will be hosting Barnwell to close out 2.
Another Thursday night game there. Game 1 for Coach Smith there in the Warhorses. I think they beat Wilson-Elko. I like Cam Austin, quarterback, a lot. He's very good. That Strom-Thurmond team has some studs. You mentioned Braylon Staley going to Strom-Thurmond from Aiken. A lot of firepower there in Coach Webb here in year 2. I don't know much about Laney High School. Honestly, never even heard of them. But once again, pulling for the SC teams who are going across state lines this week.
Yeah, I tell you, I was really impressed with that Rebels team in that Saluda game last year. And they are a program. They got some big kids.
Yeah.
And they play tough. I mean, you can tell Coach Webb really puts some enthusiasm in those guys and really puts the will to win instill in them. They're a fun group to watch.
Yeah. So Nathan says Batesburg-Leesville beat Saluda in a scrimmage last week. I told you, I heard Batesburg-Leesville is good. We'll see. And I saw that comment from Brian. Timberland-Berkeley Wolves in an upset. That will be quite an upset. Obviously I mentioned 2A, 5A. That's a big jump. Berkeley, like we said, Coach Lodge is building there. I don't know if they're competitive right away, but that's a lot of depth to overcome, especially early in the year when you get the heat, you get the cramps. But hey, Brian may be on to something. I like the Stags to win, but fun matchup.
Be something to celebrate if they did.
Yeah.
Going into 1A now, we've got Allendale Fairfax hosting Wagner Sally. Blackville Hilda will be hosting Calhoun Falls. Dorchester Academy going to Branchville. Southside Christian will go to Commerce High School out of Georgia there. Cross will be hosting Calhoun County.
That's a fun 1A matchup.
Yeah, this is a good game here. Cross is a team that they flew under our radar, or at least my radar, at least last year. Cross was a really good team last year, and Calhoun County's got they can play.
They got a receiver, Christian Zachary, going to Virginia. Really good player for those guys. Cross has some studs coming back from last year's team. You over there? You all right over there, John?
I got microphones making moves over here.
We'll work on some stability for next week's show. But that'll be a fun one. Cross and Calhoun.
We've got Denmark Olar hosting Baptist Hill, a Baptist Hill team that I think can be really good this year. They were very strong last year as well.
Coach Gathers does a great job down there for sure.
We'll have let's see here, Hannah Pamplico hosting Macby. Great Falls will be at Heathwood Hall. Scotts Branch will go to Hunter Kenner Tyler. Lamar hosting Hemingway. We have Bethune Bowman going to Pelion. I do think I mentioned that one already. Augusta Christian will go to Rich Spring Minetta. Ware Shoals will be hosting Whitmire. And that will close out our week 0 slate.
A lot of our 1A games there. Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. You know, it's cool to see how many, not just cross state, like we got cross North Carolina games, we got cross Georgia games. Hope we win all those, but that's really neat to see early in the year. Do want to mention a couple of Skeeza games. We've also got our Skeeza game of the week we mentioned earlier. A couple more big ones. Colin and Prep traveling to Florence Christian. Florence Christian, the runner-ups in 3A last year. Colin and Prep, I believe, was the runner-up in 2A, if I remember correctly. Either way, they had a good year in their classification as well. Trinity Collegiate going to Cardinal Newman. Cardinal Newman, a lot of studs there for those guys, a lot of playmakers. Trinity, tough loss last Saturday to Beaufort. Fun matchup there. I think Coach Helms and the guys get it done. John Paul II going to Thomas Hayward. Thomas Hayward, new coach, had a lot of success, obviously, with Coach Shuford. He's no longer there. John Paul II, new coach, Coach Milligan there. They were a team that were in a lot of games last year. Couldn't really get over the hump. I think they're much improved. It just depends on how good Thomas Hayward is this year. But should be some fun skis and matchups as well. One thing I do want to mention before we shout out our friends again, Andrell, do you have any comments you want to throw in on any of these matchups we talked about through 5 through 1A? Yeah, the Swamp Foxes, I mean, they're a very good football team, athletes all over the field, maybe the most talented team in 2A, we shall see. We've got Brian saying Timberland won a scrimmage at Fairfield Central. That's impressive for sure. They should be a fun team to watch, but the Berkeley game should be tough, I think.
Yeah, certainly. But, hey, Berkeley's got to prove it too.
Yeah. Drill, any comments you want to make on any of those ball games?
Oh, there's too many, but yeah, we're running long. So yeah, we'll go ahead and keep going. You guys did a great job.
Yeah, last thing before we give a shout out to our friends, our Pick'em contest is back. It's posted on our Facebook page, our Twitter page, our website. Get in there. We do a prize for the winner at the end of the year. Your lowest week gets dropped, so hop in there. It's really easy to do it. Click the link, fill it out, and then you get on the reminder list every week and you get that back. So definitely fill out that game. It's 11 games each week to do. A lot of fun there. I've enjoyed it. John's enjoyed it. Jarrell's enjoyed it. Definitely do that. It's a great way to keep up with schools all across the state. But let's go shout out to our friends here before we get out of here for the evening.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
The George Agency has been serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 40 years. They're a full-line insurance agency concentrated in employee benefits and health insurance with an office in Mullins and Murrells Inlet, but they can help you all across the state. They have clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, and more, so wherever you are, they can help. Give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call or check them out online at thegeorgeagency.net. That's thegeorgeagency.net. The George Agency, also our sponsor, our player of the week, something we love doing each week. If you guys see a guy who has a great performance, send us his stats. You can email him, you can tweet us, you can message us on Facebook, whatever. We love to see those stats, get him a prize for doing so good. We pick 3 each week, so definitely get those nominations into us on Saturday or Sunday if you can. John, another thing we love doing, we did last year, is our Friday night spaces. Hope you guys can tune into that. Think about an old school radio show where people call in, give scores, yada, yada, yada. We do that, but it's on Twitter. Our handle is Movin Chains, MOVINCHANS.com. Basically, we have folks from across the state pop in there, give us a score, give us a breakdown of the game they were at. John and Drell and I will roll through the scores from across the state. So it's a lot of fun to do, very interactive. So if you're on Twitter on Friday night, 10:30 or so, whenever the game's in, pop into our Friday night spaces, tune in. Got some coaches hopping in this year as well. Should be a lot of fun to do that. Appreciate you guys joining us tonight. Obviously, our Facebook, Movin Chains. Like, comment, share, subscribe on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, etc. MovinChains.com is our website. Podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Drill, did I miss anything? John, did I miss anything? Obviously, got a lot going on. We'll be back Sunday with a recap show. We'll have our next preview show next Tuesday for week 1. The season is here, boys. We got a lot going on.
It's going to be great. We looks like we're going to have good weather, at least here in the Midlands and upstate area. Relatively low humidity. I think we are in for a good weekend of football.
Yeah, I do want to mention this, John, or Drill, before you hop in there. I noticed today and yesterday it's been as hot as it's been all summer here in the state. And with the new wet bulb stuff, a lot of these teams haven't really been able to get a full day or a full week of practice so far. How much does that affect a team, you think, going into game week and you can't even really get on the grass Monday, Tuesday, maybe even Wednesday?
What did you say? Wet bulb?
Yeah.
I'm not unfamiliar
Basically,
with that
that's
term.
how they judge if
Humidity.
they're able to practice, how hot it is and all that, and the humidity and the real feel and all that stuff. They use that to figure out if they can practice and for how long and all that stuff.
Okay.
So, anyway,
Yeah.
they're not practicing full-time right now the last couple of days. Does that affect them here in week 0, and how much, I guess?
Yeah, I would say yes, because it's game week, so you're actually doing install for your opponent. So yeah, that's definitely going to affect it. You're going to see an advantage, I would say, for those schools that have the football classes. So you'll see more people, more coaches advocating for that. Those schools that practice before school starts, you'll definitely see that. But yeah, if you're one of those schools that's trying to practice after school, I don't know how it's been across the rest of the state, but here in the upstate, I mean, it's 100+ heat index, in the afternoons. And I know these guys aren't able to practice, so that's definitely a disadvantage. But yeah, let's jump into we got a couple more comments before we leave tonight. Brian's asking about Dutch Fork. Do you think they're going to have a down year? I'll start off and say no.
I don't think so either. Yeah, I think they're better on defense this year than they were last year.
Yeah.
Obviously, replacing Jarvis Green's tough. I think the defense is better. I think the quarterback play will be as good with John Hunt stepping in there. They're going to find somebody to run the ball. They just are. You know that. I think Dutch Fork is going to be as good, if not better, than last year.
Yeah, they'll figure out where to plug the playmakers they have and where to do it on offense. They don't do anything too crazy on offense. They just they make it happen. They move the chains.
Yeah, Tom Knotts is the coach, so as long as he's there, I don't think there's any issue with them. Yeah, that's something too. Like, they've rolled these guys in. You had Jarvis Green, he missed time last year. Quarterback Liam Appler last year, he missed time. John Hunt had to step in there. So these guys, they know how to play. That's like John keeps reiterating, that's a program. That's a system. That's not a team year in and year out. So as long as Tom Knotts is at the helm there, they're going to be a state championship contender. We got Hunter in here talking about the Vikings, the Latta. You guys spent some time talking about them. Hopefully they get started off right. And then we also have
Spartanburg.
I'm pretty sure he's talking about Latta.
We've actually got 5 games of the week, Curtis. We got Spartanburg hosting South Pointe, Camden at Myrtle Beach, Christchurch at Gray Collegiate, Lewisville at Oceanside, and our skis game of the week, Pinewood Prep at Beaufort Academy. So 5 games of the week, all part of our pick'em contest as well.
Yeah, but to close, man, we had a lot of good interaction, a lot of great comments, a lot of live eyes throughout the show today. I'm just really excited, guys. We're here. We are 2 days away in some cases for high school football, and I couldn't be more excited.
For sure. Should be a really fun season. Excited to get it kicked off. So for Jarrell Hendricks and John Epps, I'm Kevin Thomas. This has been Moving the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union, our Week 0 preview show. We will catch you guys soon.